Brad Nessler here in the Honda Insider Report on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you doing, Brad?
Hey, Rich, I'm doing better than your Wolverines did last night, even though they won.
I know.
It was like a rock fight, man. It was ugly.
It was. It was. What do you think it was? Was it the late start? Was it the rust of a Big Ten bye week, essentially, because the tournament was held in the Garden the week before? What do you think it was, Brad?
I think it might have been that a little bit. They just looked rusty. You know, Wagner just never got in the flow of the game. Duncan Robinson, same thing. They had a little trouble with Montana's speed at the guards. Those two dudes were really quick, especially in the first half. They settled in and played better defense against those two guys in the second half. But they were never in the flow of it, and they didn't look anything like they did when they ran through the Big Ten tournament. So. Like John said after the game, and we said while we were doing the broadcast, get that one out of your system, just spit it out, burn the film. Don't even go back and say, here's what we did, here's what we didn't do. Just look ahead to Houston, because if they play like they did against Montana, against Houston, they're going to get their doors blown off, to be honest with you. But they'll be better. I mean, I know they'll be better, and because they can't play any worse. If you ask me, I have no offense to you, but
no, Brad. Look, it is what it was. It was ugly. I mean, Michigan hardly turns the ball over. They turned it over almost as much on average for a game as they did in the first half. But the whole thing just was, again, it started at 10:30 at night. The clock even malfunctioned. It was just weird. It was kind of weird from top to finish.
We had about an 11-minute delay, I'm guessing. That it seemed like a half an hour, because not only did the clocks stop and the clocks went out, but the scores table went out. So the monitors over there at the scores table didn't work either. So the officials had to come over. And basically, I did play-by-play for about 11 minutes with the three officials. And luckily, I knew all three of those guys. I'm like, okay, Donnie, do this, and then Darren, do this, and whatever. We're trying to turn our monitors around so they could figure out, when the shot clock stopped at 15 seconds and Simpson's out there dribbling. It was horrible. I mean, talk about a screeching halt to a game that wasn't that good to start with. So, yeah, it was a little bit of everything you don't want in a game like that, especially when you're almost the last game of the night.
That said, I think any game would have paled in comparison to the way Houston and San Diego State finished. That was just exhilarating, just trading threes. And then Rob Gray, what a performance out of him. Tell me a little bit more about this kid that we're going to see on display and in the round of 32.
What's the amazing thing is he's only been at Houston for 3 years. He played his freshman year in junior college, and he's got almost 1,700 points in 3 years. He's that good, and great elevation. His jump shot, I mean, he's got great vertical and shoots at the top of his jump. He's one of those guys that's hard to defend, because even though he's only 6'1", he shoots like he's 6'6" or something like that with his jump shot, because he goes straight up. He was unbelievable last night, and career high with 39. He's had 6 games this year of 30-plus, and, I mean, he did everything. He just carried the whole team, and I don't know if he can play like that again, but it was great at the end of the game, because, kids from Forest City, North Carolina, and he said, I grew up watching the Tar Heels always being in the Final Four in the NCAA and all that kind of stuff, and here he is at Houston, and he was very cool about saying, I did it for our fans, I did it for the city of Houston. So, I mean, He said everything right. He's done everything right. He tore it up last night. I don't know, who's going to guard him. I guess Xavier Simpson probably gets the nod to try to guard him, but they couldn't guard him last night. That's for sure. He was unbelievable, and I think the last time anybody scored that many for Houston in an NCAA game was Big E, so that's good company.
Yeah, it's been a long time, right? I mean, it really has been a long, and it's interesting you point that out with the Astros winning the World Series, and we all know J.J. Watt, what he did for the city, and what the Rockets are going what they're doing right now, and Houston then wins its first NCAA tournament game since 1984. It really is. It's a neat story, Brad. It really is.
I couldn't believe that their last tourney win was 84, and they beat Virginia in overtime in that game, and it was Othell Wilson and all those guys for Virginia, and then they lost to Georgetown in the title game. But it seems like somewhere along the line they would have won another game in the NCAA tournament until last night. So long dry spell, and it's a great reclamation project too, Rich, for Calvin Sampson. Calvin and I have been friends for a long time, and go back 4 different schools, probably especially with Oklahoma that he took to the tournament 11 times. But the troubles he had with Indiana, and I guess some of the violations they had there would be minuscule compared to what we hear about now. There's all phone calls or text messages, whatever. But for him to kind of redo his career and revive the Houston basketball program at the same time, it's just a cool story. I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.